भारत और अमेरिका की दोस्ती के बारे में कहा जाता है कि यह समुद्र तल की गहराई से लेकर अंतरिक्ष की अनंत संभावनाओं तक पहुंचती है। ऐसे में आज बात करने के लिए खास मेहमान हमारे साथ हैं नासा के एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर सेनेटर बिल नेल्सन। और बिल नेल्सन, वेलकम टू इंडिया and welcome to Z Network.
Thank you.
My first question to you, Bill. You are an ace astronaut. You are having a lot of experience, but your visit comes at a time when India and United States decided to strengthen their space cooperation. And especially in the June, both the President Joe Biden and Prime Minister Modi decided to take it forward. How your visit, which is follow-up of that important decision, is going to take forward ISRO and NASA's cooperation?
Well, it is being implemented as we speak, and that's why I'm here. And that's why I will be in Bangalore tomorrow, and then meeting with space businesses in Mumbai later. So the agreement between the President and the Prime Minister was to continue the cooperation in our civilian space program that we already have. We're getting ready in the early part of 2024 to launch NISR, a major climate space asset that is going to measure what's happening to the face of the Earth in the land, what changes are occurring, what changes are occurring in the water, and what changes are occurring in the ice. ISRO, the India Space Agency, is launching it on an Indian rocket, and lo and behold, the spacecraft is jointly built between America and the ISRO Space Agency.
You came from UAE and you came to India. UAE soon will be hosting the COP28 meeting where the world leaders will gather and, they will deliberate upon the climate change impact and the mitigation strategies. How the NISR project of NASA and ISRO is going to help the climate mitigation strategies and the impact of climate change?
NISR is just the first of several great observatories. The combination of all this information, plus the combination of our 25 satellites that are measuring the Earth now, will give us a 3D composite understanding of what is happening very precisely to our Earth, so that we can be better stewards of our Earth. And of the four great observatories, the first is this one next year between India and the United States.
Senator Nelson, today you had a meeting with the India Science and Technology Minister, Dr. Jitendra Singh, and apparently you discussed about the possibilities of Indian astronauts going to ISS, International Space Station, and United States helping for that. What is the concrete program for that? And I'm sure you must have deliberated upon it. Which are the facilities of NASA? NASA will be helping the Indian astronauts training for that?
Yes, it's part of the agreement between the Prime Minister and the President that we, NASA, would help train an Indian astronaut, and then they would fly to the International Space Station next year. And that will occur in the latter part of 2024, and that's only a year away.
And also the India and United States, or maybe like NASA and ISRO, has agreed to take forward the planetary Earth protection, or the program for the Earth protection for the minor planet center of NASA. What is that program and how are you going to take it forward? How India is actively contributing to that program? How do you envisage?
Well, there have been a number of nations that all cooperate on the International Space Station. And we do a lot of science on the International Space Station. Some of that applies to understanding what's happening on the Earth. Now we have a direct ISRO-NASA project that's going to be a major component of us understanding what's happening to our Earth.
This last 1 year has been very significant for ISRO. You see with the Chandrayaan 3 and Aditya L1. You would be meeting the ISRO chief, Dr. Somnath. What are you going to discuss with him in terms of the cooperation in taking forward NASA and ISRO's cooperation?
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate him on the landing at the South Pole. That's very significant, and India certainly enjoys the acclaim of everybody on Earth that you were the first to do it. So that's the first thing. I will then discuss with him. We're going to see the ISRO spacecraft as it is being produced and finalized for launch. And especially enjoyable for me is my old friend, the Indian cosmonaut, Rakesh Sharma, who I got to know in the Soviet Union many, many years ago. We're going to have a reunion, and then we will sit down and talk to the press about old times together.
So this is also a a nostalgic meeting for you, meeting Rakesh Sharma in India?
Oh, absolutely. I have not seen him since I met him. We've talked on the telephone, but I'm looking forward to this.
You would be meeting him after how many years?
Well, it was 1991 when we met as astronauts and cosmonauts gathered in Moscow and then went to Baikonur.
Senator Nelson, earlier this year there was a press statement, sourced to you, raising caution about the Chinese race to moon, and United States is also aiming to land taking the manned moon missions, and now you are also planning to take India along. After Chandrayaan 3's landing, how do you see that India and United States are going to partner in the future moon missions?
Well, that's up to India. We are going back to the moon in a different way. Now remember, we were on the moon a half a century ago. We're going back differently this time. We're going back in an international mission. So if India wants to participate, then we want to hear, and we'll have a discussion about that.
Senator Nelson, last question about it. There has been reports about the Chinese hypersonic command and your use of the lower space orbit. How NASA and ISRO and democracies are going to take forward or carry out the peaceful use of space so that it remains more democratic a space?
Well, you need to address that to your Ministry of Defense and to the United States Department of Defense. NASA is a civilian space program.
But since you're also working for the peaceful use of the space, so do you envisage that the more cooperation among the democracies and especially the Quad countries can yield the benefits of peaceful use of space?
Well, of course, and that's what we work toward. But that's unrelated to your question about hypersonics. And that's the whole point of what we in NASA, who bring people together instead of dividing people. And that is certainly applicable to our international space cooperation.
In terms of the international space cooperation, India also intends to build an international space station. You also are planning to deorbit the existing international space station. How India and NASA can cooperate on this?
To be determined. But I would assume that since India has indicated that it wants to have a space station by 2040, and we're going to deorbit our station by 2031. And in the meantime, there are going to be commercial space stations that very likely there will be some cooperation there as India decides to do what it wants to do with a space station.
Being an experienced astronaut, the last message to the people of India and possibilities of space for the humanity, for the mankind's benefit.
Well, this is a special time. I call it the golden age of space exploration. And we can look at ourselves now as we go back to the moon in order to be able to prepare to go to Mars and beyond. We can look at ourselves as star sailors sailing on a cosmic sea to far off cosmic shores.
Thank you very much for talking to us. And आपने सुना किस तरीके से बिल नेल्सन ये कह रहे हैं कि ये एक गोल्डन एज है, बहुत सुनहरा वक्त है और इंसान और इंसानियत धरती पर जिंदगी को और बेहतर बना सकती है अगर वो स्पेस में जाकर देखे, समझे, जाने और एक दूसरे के साथ सहयोग करे। कैमरामैन पवन के साथ प्रणय उपाध्याय, दिल्ली, जी मीडिया।